My name's Dave, and this is my dog, Logan, out once again on a walk in the countryside. And today we're in Sussex, West Sussex to be precise. We're at a place called Heyshott Common, which is a few miles to the east of Midhurst. And today we're going to be doing a lovely circular walk of around about 3 or 4 miles, mainly around heathland, bit of woodland. We're going to be trying to find a hidden, perfectly preserved World War II pillbox and a disused railway, and who knows, some other interesting things along the way. So do join us. Now there is a handy little map at the car park. So we are here. So I'm basically going to follow the side of this road here, get to Hoyle Crossroads, then we're going to be going down here, then crossing the common, then we're going to be heading into these woods all the way up here. I'm hopefully going to find this Bronze Age barrow round about there, and then we're going to be walking all the way along here, and then I want to join the old disused railway track which takes us along here and then up here, and then we're going to finish up by going around Ambersham Common all the way around here and back to there. Well, I've parked the car at a little car park that's just off the road that goes from Heyshott to Ambersham, and you can see this lovely view to my right. This is Heyshott Common, and then to my left, which I shall turn around in a second just so you can have a quick look, is Ambersham Common. Now, filming today, middle of March, and it really is a glorious day. Sun is out, it's dry, and there really is a feel of spring in the air. And one thing you'll notice is Logan's not wearing a coat, and he hasn't had to do that for quite a few months. It's still about 8 or 9 degrees, so when I go in the shade there's still a little bit of a chill. Well, I'm looking forward to this walk because although I live in Dorset now, I was born and bred in Sussex, and indeed spent a lot of my childhood in the village of Graffham, which is about 2 or 3 miles away from here. And as a kid, me and my mates used to cycle over onto this common, and this was our playground. So it'll be quite interesting looking at it a few decades later and see if I can remember where all my secret hideouts were. And I've just gone back to the first of my favourite haunts as a kid. I've been walking along the road towards Heyshott to a place called Hoyle Crossroads, and just by there's an old disused sandpit that was abandoned decades ago. Let me show you. That's a fantastic place to explore as a kid. But hey, how about this for look at those roots of the tree, how the sand has obviously eroded away, and there's almost like an object of art, isn't it? Wonderful. Let's see if I can get down here without tripping up. Oh! But try and not get the sun directly in, of course. But look at that. Wonderful. I say the whole area from, well, there was a band of sand from Petersfield in the west that goes all the way through to, well, at least Storrington in the east, and so along that band you get a lot of sand pits, and some are still in use today. I know there's one at well, there was one at Midhurst, and there's one at Storrington still, for example. So that's why you get a lot of this sand coming through on some of the paths around this area. Well, we're now on to Heyshott Common itself, which is an SSSI, Special Site of Scientific Interest. I think I got that right. It's mainly gorse and heather, very sandy surface. We're going to see, it's almost like being on the beach actually at times as we go along with some of these paths. And if you're interested, some of the rare species that you'll see here, the digger wasp, but it's absolutely glorious. And what's lovely to see, the yellow coming through of the gorse, it really is quite beautiful. We're just passing a post and a sign that tells us that we're on the Serpent Trail, as you can see there. And the Serpent Trail is a 64-mile trail that goes from Haslemere to Petersfield, but it's not a direct route. It's sort of, well, it's like a snake circuit, I suppose you'd call it. It's why they call it the Serpentine Trail. And I'd actually have done the last 10 kilometres of it in a race last year, and there was something like 12 styles in it. But there are some people that run the whole 64 miles. Not for me. We've now come off the heathland and have entered some woodland, mainly a mixture of beech, oak and pine trees. And come to this lovely little stream, which I believe comes off South Downs, which is not too far from here, and will eventually flow out to the River Rother. Beautiful. First butterfly of the spring. Can't keep up with it. Lovely colour. Almost well, it's a light green. And here we are, another one of my old haunts as a kid. I did come back here a couple of years ago with a chap called Richard Vobes when I was acting as a guide for one of his videos, so I knew it was still here. But it, as you can see, it's an old Second World War pillbox. Now, I'm not an expert on pillboxes, but I believe it's a hybrid cross between a Type 22 and a Type 24. As you can see, it's built into the side of the hill with the gun holes, if that's what they're called, right at ground level. Catching my breath back, it's been quite an uphill walk to get here. But if I turn around, now these trees wouldn't have been here 70 or 80 years ago, and the reason the pillbox was here was that this was once an open area, would have been an ideal site for a landing ground for a German glider full of troops. So I'm guessing it was never actually used in war. And at the end of the war, I mean, there would have been loads of these all over the south of England, but at the end of the war landowners were offered £5 each to demolish them, and I can only guess, because this was out in common land, no one ever claimed the £5. But let's have a little look in more detail. I mean, it's in super condition, I'm glad to say. There's no graffiti or anything. And you can see this metal tin can. And I'm pretty sure I can remember that from 50 odd years ago. We will have a little look inside in a second, but you can imagine this being a terrific place for a den as a little kid, can't you? And then round here, and you can see this unusual structure sticking out. It looks like a railway, but a railway line. But I know they did use whatever they could get hold of when they were constructing these. Let's have a little look inside. Right, well, I'm not going to go too far because I don't want Logan to come in here, because I think there's glass in here, so you be a good boy and stay there. I have got my little spotlight, so I'm not sure whether this is going to show, but it gives you an idea. As you can see, yeah, little bits of glass and tin cans on the ground. Right, good boy, right you go. Well, now I think, although I'm not entirely convinced to be honest, that this is a bowl barrow just behind me here. Certainly on the Ordnance Survey map there should be one round about here, about 18 metres in diameter and a couple of metres tall. There's thousands of these all over the country, of course, but what makes it difficult to identify this one is there's so many trees have grown up over the years. I can't see where else it could be, so that's it. I think. Well, I can't believe what a glorious day it is. You know, I spent all those months of wind and rain and mud, and to come out on a lovely sunny day, beautiful, and still quite fresh as well. This really is a lovely walk, and certainly Logan's enjoying charging around in the sand. I think I said before, it's almost like being on the beach in parts here. We're now heading east along an old disused railway line, which is the line from Pulborough to Midhurst. It used to be run by the London, Brighton and South Coast Railway Company. It was built in 1866 and the line closed in 1964. It's a lovely walk to come. Been going over some old bridges, and I'll show you the route that I'm going. Well, a nice little cottage down on the right there, and either side of this track, which is on quite a high embankment, there's woodland. They've been doing a lot of cutting down of trees, that's for sure. There's a lot of evidence of forestry work through here. In fact, in the distance I think we're going to come across quite a few logs. Well, at one stage there were plans for there to be a station at Ambersham, but it never went ahead. Now, they did go as far as building some earthworks ready for the station, And I think it was along to my left here, not 100% sure. You can see what I mean by the number of trees that have been cut down here quite recently as well. And all along here you can still see the concrete posts for the fencing alongside the railway. We've now come off Heyshott Common, crossed the road, and now going on to Ambersham Common. I've just seen a notice that says there are ground nesting birds in the area, so I'm going to keep Logan on the lead for a little bit. One thing I meant to say earlier on, as we were going across that heathland, it was used for the Doctor Who series Terror of the Zygons in 1975, when it was supposed to represent the Scottish Moors. I'm just at the top of Ambersham Common now, and indeed over in the far distance there's a trig point, usually a sign of we're somewhere high. And just walking along a little sandy track that many years ago used to be a canter track for polo ponies. In fact, if you look on a Google map, it's quite obvious, because we're not that far from the Ambersham Polo Grounds, which of course is where the Cowdray Park Polo Club play when they're not playing at the lawns at Midhurst. Well folks, we've come to the end of our walk. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give us a like, thumbs up, do make a comment. We thought we'd do our end piece at the Pillbox. If you haven't already done so, please do subscribe. That way you can make sure you can join us for some future countryside walks. Now, Logan and I are off to the Three Moles pub in Selham for some light refreshment. Until we meet again, thanks for joining us, and cheerio.